So give me some questions, fire away. And I have questions for you guys about many things that I need to report back to the older smithies about, the ancient smithies like myself. People have asked me a lot in interviews, sort of like, what's your favorite Smith memory, or what was the best thing that happened at Smith? And I don't know if I was just part of a particularly nerdy group of friends, or if this is just how it is, but all we really did, my favorite times, were just like lying around in bed, talking, listening to music. We didn't even drink as much as the girls in Commencement. We really just ate. We were really into carbohydrates. And,
like you were saying, Smith is definitely a community with a diverse range of people. And as you travel around and talk about your book, I was wondering if you've gotten to have conversations with people whose experience has differed from the ones you chronicle in the book, and what that's been like, having conversations about the different communities and different lives that people have at Smith.
Yeah, definitely. I think, probably one of the reasons why people advised me to not make the book about Smith in particular is because, like, for me, Smith is so near and dear to my heart, and I know that it is for all of you too. And for each one of us, we have a very specific idea of what Smith is. And so many women have come to my readings and said, I wanted to write a novel about Smith. And I've been telling them, like, do it. Let's make it a whole genre. Like, let's replace chick lit. Like, we won't have chick lit, we'll just have Smith lit, that's my new mission. So most Smithies who graduated, like, in the 2000s or in the 90s or in the 80s, they pretty much seem to like the book. Those who graduated in the 50s, early 60s are generally kind of appalled. But they're really feisty, just like we all are, and they like to come out and tell me that they're appalled. So I was telling these lovely people in the front row over lunch about a reading I did in New Canaan, Connecticut, where two Smithies came in. One was about 80, one was about 60, and they're in the Greenwich Club together, so they know each other that way. And the 80-year-old, the first thing out of her mouth was, the women in my generation are making it their job to send out emails to tell people not to read your book. So I was like, thank you. And then her friend, who was about 60, she was saying, okay, then if you said that, then I have to say this other thing. And so then the older woman was like, Marjorie, do not say it. And then she said, I have to. And then it just came out of her, I hate this book so much. So that was a really interesting reading to do, because there weren't very many people besides me, Marjorie, the other lady, and a few others, so there wasn't a lot to absorb the hate at that one. One thing that Marjorie could not get over was the streaking in the book. She was in denial about the streaking. She was saying, that does not happen. And I was saying, it does. It happens. So definitely there's been quite a range of responses. Okay, one other Smithy story. When I was living in London, I didn't study abroad, but I took a year off and lived in London. And I was a nanny for a family with 3 little boys. There were twins who were 18 months, and there was a newborn baby. So one day, that was really fun. So one day, I'm walking down the street, I'm pushing the double stroller with the twins, and I had like the baby Bjorn, like whatever. And so this woman had driven past us, and she was in traffic, and she just stopped her car, and she was yelling out to me, Smith College, Smith College. I'm like, what? So I turn around, it's like secret Smith radar, and she was saying, come here, come here. So I finagle my double stroller over to her, and she was a beautiful woman in a Mercedes silk scarf, like Smith from a time, and I was wearing a Smith sweatshirt. It said Smith on the back, and she had seen it, I guess, in the rearview mirror or something. And she said, did you go to Smith? And I said, I go to Smith now. And she gave me her card. She was like, come over for dinner. And this woman is somebody I still know to this day. So Smithies will stop in traffic for one another. And I think that's worth every penny. Not to mention, the education is just phenomenal. And I think that, there's a lot that's said about women's colleges, women's only education in general. You're going to be more inclined to raise your hand or this or that. The Smith women I knew would not have been afraid to raise their hand in a co-ed classroom. That wasn't what it was about anymore. But it was still, I think, the best education they could get, personally, politically, and academically.